Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from, oh gosh, Mesa, Arizona. I'm sorry, I know I've been here over a month and I can't remember where I've come from. Oh my gosh, that is just, and sorry that that my studio is not fully complete. You got to see the side bit, but I have papers everywhere on my little tiny desk here. Well, it's actually the table. I'm going to have to clear it up before I um, have dinner tonight. So, but I've got things put where they need to be so I can easily see them because you'll find out in a moment. So how was your tune-up Tuesday? What fine tweaks did you make to help get you through the day, to help give you a different perspective on things? We've had a great day here. We had the 80s music playing again. We kind of had a blast. We actually flattened out the battery in the Bluetooth speaker, so that's now sitting getting charged again. I couldn't figure out. Excuse me. While I was sitting there listening, having lunch, I was listening to my audiobook, the one of the Grey Men books. I'm up to book 4, and this one is book 4, book 3, book 4, book 3. I don't remember which one I'm on. And this one is called Deadeye. But the thing is, won't tell me if it's I think it's book 4. Yeah, it's book 4. So I was listening to that, and all of a sudden everything just stopped. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And it turned out the speaker had died because I hadn't charged it. But there's no little indicator light on there or anything, except it just stops working when it needs charging. So, oh well, them's the breaks. Then our water went out again. So we were without water for a couple of hours this afternoon. Zephy got another nice long walk in this afternoon, which we don't typically do an afternoon walk. But I needed to take the trash out and go check the water thing when we discovered we had no water. So we went over to the dog park to find out that the RV that's 2 spaces behind us, the owner has arrived. It's one of those annual. Excuse me. Somebody here wants to play. Who's an annual resident has finally arrived, and they got this beautiful chocolate-covered shepherd mix. I didn't get too close because I didn't know about the dog, and the guy was on the phone, and I didn't want to get too close because I had Zeffy with me, so I couldn't disturb them or anything else. So we went and played in the dog park for a bit, and then went for a nice walk around the park, and then came back. And by the time we got back, we had water again. Yay! So then we spent some time outside, did some training. She did pretty well. She knows what the Kong is. It's really funny because I told her to go get the Kong, and she sort of like stopped, looks all around, sees it, and I said, go get it. And then she just looked back at me and just said all pretty. So I say, okay, I'm sitting pretty, can I have a treat? So we still have some work to do on that. Like if I tell her to touch, if it's near us and I say touch the Kong, she will out of the objects, she will touch the Kong. Touch the ball, she touches the ball. And she gets treats when she gets the right ones each time. So she knows what the Kong is. It's getting her to go a distance to pick it up and bring it back. So that's what we're working on right now. Worked on walking nice at side. And of course, she's on the long leash, so I've got no leash in my hands, which is kind of nice. So we taught her at side, walking nicely at side, and she did that very well today. So we're getting there with her. She's now walking a lot looser on the leash when we walk, with the exception of when we go here to go to the dog park, because we always go around the back of the RV and take the shortest way, which is across the back RV site, and then it's like 3 or 4 sites along the road, and she just literally bunny hops the entire way to get there. But then as soon as we've been to the park and we take the long way home, she will walk on a loose leash the entire way. Very rarely does she have the leash fully extended. It's usually when there's another dog around, and I usually put her up onto the short leash, especially if we're walking. But she's getting better at walking on loose leashes, which is nice. Spent some time looking for the elusive great-great-grandparents today. Still trying to look for those last 4 great-great-grandparents. But now I am sort of like totally bamboozled because I can find all the marriage information for, so I thought, well, I might have to go down and across or across to try and find where the parents are. So, all right, let me go back, double check everything that I have for this couple, and let me double check the information I have, that I've got the right kids there, that everything else is matching up perfectly. So I went back and was checking on the kids' information, found all the wedding announcements for the youngest daughter. I found the marriage index. I found the the marriage license. I found all the newspaper announcements of the engagement, of the marriage, everything, and all pointed to this one guy. And then I went and I found the the obituary for the mother. And I thought, okay, let's see if the obituary has the parents' names in there, has the fact that her husband had died before her, and all of that sort of stuff. Go in there, and it had with her daughters, and then it had the youngest daughter, who was married to this guy in 1933, now had a different last name. And I'm like, okay, when the heck did that happen? Because I'd found all the record information and everything matched up. Because on the marriage license, it has the parents' names, including the mother's maiden name, and everything lined up perfectly. And I thought, well, you can't have somebody who was born in Ireland, somebody who was born in the US, with the exact same names, getting married exactly around the same time, having the exact same 4 children, and with the exact same names and all that. I thought that's just way, way, way too coincidental. That just doesn't happen. And now she brings me her Kong. And so I was sort of like, oh my gosh. And so then I went and found the father's obituary, and he mentioned the same last name as what the mother's obituary did. And I was like, oh my gosh. So now I've had to go back and do some more research to try and find out, well, when did she get married to this guy? What happened to the first guy? And because the first guy had a very unusual last name, he was easy to find. He didn't die till like 1980, so I knew there must be like a divorce in there or somewhere. Do you think I can find the thing? Can't find anything. And then there's a woman with the same Christian name, the same middle name, the same last maiden name, who was in the army during World War II. Well, this woman had gotten married in 1933. I don't know when she got married the second time, so maybe after the divorce she went back to her maiden name. I can't find any marriage records whatsoever right now. So I'm now hunting through the newspapers to see if I can find anything about announcements in there or anything like that. But I've got a mystery. I love it when I get the mysteries. I love the mysteries. So that's my little mystery for today that I'm trying to unravel, because once I unravel that mystery, hopefully it will give me the more information to go on. But came across the obituary for one of the people that's in the tree, and oh my gosh, the life this guy led. I mean, I've been reading some incredible obituaries, and especially those that have been in service and how they got into service and the heroism that they had in there. And it's just, this person who I'm doing this tree for comes from a great line, and it is on a side of the family that she doesn't know much about. So that's going to be kind of a really cool story to share with her on Friday. So I can't wait to do that. So I also put in here too that other topic is what your DNA can tell you. Well, so when we did the DNA testing, I did the ancestry testing, and I also did 23andMe, because I wanted to see what is the difference between the two. They're pretty much, as far as breaking down where you came from, where your ancestors came from, and everything is pretty much on par with each other. There's a percent here or a percent there. It's not a big deal breaker type of thing. It's not like one says 50% on something and the other one says 50% on something else. No, they're very much in line with what they're both saying. But of course, as time goes on, they get more results and stuff they can test. The technology changes, they go back and retest. And now the Scandinavian side is starting to come in. And there's always been a rumor that my maiden name originated from Scandinavia. We haven't been able to go back that far to Scandinavia. On that side of the family with that last name, I think I'm back in the 1600s. I think I managed to get back to the 1600s. The rest of it's probably going to be going to have boots on the ground to do that research, because records from that era now being online is going to be not much available. I can almost guarantee that, because there's only like about 4% of all the records in the world, all the marriages, all the vital statistics like births, deaths, marriages, baptism, christenings, property deeds, slave records, passenger lists, all the records in the world that are available for you to go and research for genealogy. There is like less than 4% of them online. And when you think about what's online, and that's only 4%, that's kind of mind blowing. It's like, I'm like, damn, I'm only researching like 4% of what's out there. So a lot of research is going to have to be done with boots on the ground to get back into those Scandinavian records. What is your problem? There's a dog walking outside, isn't there? And you can't get out to them. She's now under the table with her leg butted up against with her butt against my leg wanting butt scratches. You don't want, okay, don't want them now. But with 23andMe, what they do is that every now and again is they will send you, oh, do you want to participate in the survey? And what they do with the survey is they will ask questions. It's questions about your life, asking different questions like, do you like, what type of foods? They'll be very specific on different types of foods and stuff that you like. I think they're trying to find out if you like bitter, like sweet, and all that. So what they do with that information is there is a option there when you go and look at your DNA results, and it is called traits. So ancestry and traits, and you can go down there into the traits overview and click on that. And this is where they have asked people over time different questions, and if some of them be physical too, like how tall are you? Are you prone to being overweight? Are you a skinny person? Are you do you have dimples? Do you have a cleft chin? All of that sort of information, and then they gather it with the information they already have, and they find people who have different have similar DNA strands, where anybody who has this DNA strand is more likely to have this trait. And so it was kind of interesting to go through this, like, because of my genetics and the questions I've been asking, they say I have a 58% chance that I do not have dimples. And this is based on people who have whatever that DNA chain is that causes you to have dimples. With this combination, then we tend to not have them. They also predict that I have a 92% chance of not having a cleft chin. So I don't think I don't have the dimple in that. I have an 85% chance of never having dandruff. It's like, no. But then what was this one cracked me up. I do not remember any questions about earwax, but it said I have a 93% chance that you have wet, sticky earwax. I'm like sitting here looking at the stuff and it's like cracking up laughing. Like, I've got a 93% chance that I have wet, sticky earwax. And of course, the first thing I wanted to do was go put my finger in my ear to find out. I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Crazy stuff. But eye color, a 52% chance of blue eyes. I have blue eyes. And it's a 1% chance of dark brown eyes. So less than a 1% chance of light brown or dark brown eyes. But this one was really interesting too, and I've been sitting here looking at my hands every now and again, and depending which angle I'm on, sometimes it looks right, but the dog's doing zooms up and down the RV. But it says that your finger length ratio, so between your index finger and your ring finger, there is a 55% chance that your ring finger is longer than your index finger. So every now and again today I've been looking at it going, well, and that ain't right. Like right now it looks like my index finger is longer than my ring finger and I'm having to look at this side because my nails I need to chip them. And but then when I looked at it earlier, my ring finger looked longer than mine. So it must be how I have my hands. But what do you think? Ring finger longer than the index finger? I don't know. It doesn't say which hand. It just says that. I have a 70% chance of few, if any, freckles. I do have some. I have a 76% chance of experiencing photo bleaching. And I thought, what the hell is hair photo bleaching? I thought, what is that? And what it is, it's if you are out in the sun a lot, if your hair will change color because of the sun, where your hair gets lighter because you've been out in the sun. So I have a 76% chance of that. And I was thinking about that and I thought, wow, that is really cool, because in New Zealand, if it wasn't raining, we were outside. And in the summertime, we were outside a lot, and my hair would lighten up because I was naturally a dark brown, and my hair would lighten up. But when my hair lightened up, I had red undertones that came through, which was very interesting because under the hair subject for light or dark, I had a 38% chance of light brown hair, a 35% chance of dark brown hair. I definitely had the dark brown hair, but I had red highlights that would come out with the photo bleaching when I was out in the sun a lot. I also have a 45% chance of slightly wavy hair, and yes, I do have wavy hair. It looks a little flat right now because of the weight on it, but when it's short, it definitely has a natural wave. But this one cracked me up because I know I'm in the 28% for this one. I had a 28% chance that I had lots of hair at birth. And if you see my baby pictures, you will see I had a good cropping of hair on my head. And then, they also had red hair. So The genetics predict I have a 99% chance that I do not have red hair. Yet, spending time out in the sun, the red highlights would come out through my hair. So it was very interesting. Then it goes on to skin pigmentation, whether you're prone to, even if you're prone to stretch marks, toe length ratio, if you have a unibrow, widow's peak, which I don't have that. So it was very interesting going through that. But then it also went into things like taste and smell. So it can predict things like, it's likely I can smell asparagus. I'm like, oh my gosh, and likely that I can't taste. The bitter taste I can't taste. Likely I can't taste. Now this one absolutely cracked me up because it is so true. It says ice cream flavor preference, more likely to prefer chocolate over vanilla ice cream. Chocoholic, who would, you know, I very rarely have vanilla ice cream. Very rarely. It's always something with chocolate in it. And more likely to prefer sweet. I actually prefer salty to sweet. Yes, I like my chocolate, but I like my dark chocolate, which has less sugar in it than milk chocolate, so it's not as sweet. So I definitely like my, I do like my sweets, but I prefer my actually salty over sweet. But this is the one that had me go looking at the traits this morning, because I had a 55% chance, because of my DNA and everything, that I have the ability to match music pitch. A 55% chance in my makeup that I can match musical pitch. And I'm sort of like, yeah, I took some singing lessons a few years ago and I did pretty well with those. They say that I'm more likely than average to be afraid of heights. I am not really afraid of heights. I've been up in the CN Tower in Toronto and stood there on the glass floor. I've actually got a picture of me sitting on the glass floor, so I have no problems with doing that sort of stuff. I have a less than likely average to have flat feet. I actually have flat feet. Less likely to have a fear of public speaking. I get nervous about speaking in public, but I will get up and I will speak in public. I don't have a problem with that. Less likely to have thick hair. I have fine hair. I just have a crap load of it on my head. My hairstylist was always sort of like, I'd go in for, when my hair was short, I would go in, it would still take her a good 40 minutes to trim my hair. And there would be a lot of hair left on it. But the really cool part is that I have about a 50-50 chance of experiencing motion sickness. And then I came across a new term that I did not know about. And I had to go look this one up as well. But likely no photic sneeze reflux. What the hell is photic? It's PHOTIC. Photic sneeze what the heck is well, apparently it could be a case of crossed wires in the brain. For some people, bright sunlight kicks off rounds of sneezing. I'm like, really? So some people, when they're out in the sun, just start sneezing. I'm like, no, I more sneeze with the dust. I don't think I sneeze when I'm out in the sun. But I do have a sister-in-law, and it's in her family, that after they finish eating, they just have this big sneezing fit. I've been with her and I felt so sorry for her because she's just sitting there, just one sneeze after another. And there's nothing that she can do about it because it's in their genes. Her mother had it, her sisters and brother has it, her kids have it. So it's kind of interesting. And so 23andMe come across with all of these different, and I'm likely to be bitten more often than others with mosquitoes. That was the other. So I was kind of like, well, that's interesting that they've pulled all of that out of my DNA. And based on questions that they send out and surveys that they ask you every now and again. And the surveys, when they do the surveys, are just like 2 or 3 questions. They're not great big long 15-minute questions or anything else. Occasionally they do have those ones in there, but most of the ones are just a quick 3 to 5 questions and that's it. You're in, you're out in under a minute. So your DNA can actually tell you lots of interesting things. Not only can it help you find lost ancestors and stuff, it can tell you what traits that you are passing down. It can tell you the possibility of traits that you have, and that you could possibly pass down to your kids. There is a health one with 23andMe. I have not activated the health one yet. I'm waiting for them to put that on sale because sometimes there's certain times of the year that they'll put it on like really, really low. Instead of charging you $120, they may only charge you like $40. So I'm waiting for the sale to come around, and then I'll probably do the health one. But because if you look at death certificates of your ancestors, you can see if there is a pattern of heart disease or cancer or renal failure with the kidneys. What other ones are in there? Strokes, stuff like that. You can see if there's a pattern, which could mean that there may be a um, genetic disposition towards that. So it's going to be interesting to see as I get more into the genetics and finding out more about them, especially how they can connect families and things too. Um, so yeah, it's kind of fun because some people, it says that you get down to like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth cousins, and it says, oh, you share some DNA in common, and I'm sort of like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like looking for them on the tree, can't find them on the tree. They tell me who their grandparents are and all that sort of stuff. Cannot find a connection anywhere. I did find a seventh cousin who lives in Canada. We were very easily able to chase him through the tree because he was able to give me enough that I could find that I actually had his three greats, third great grandparents on my tree. I just didn't have from them down, um, and so we were able to fill in that gap. And it turned out he was seventh cousins, so that was kind of cool. And other ones, I had one person who contacted me and go, "Oh, I see that we have this ancestor in common, and our DNA say that we have a match." And I'm like, "Well, that's very interesting because that ancestor that you say we have in common with our DNA is actually the adopted grandparent of the guy who adopted my great grandmother. So it would be my great grandmother's um, two times great grandparent adopted. So there is no DNA, although there was a rumor that it was an in-family adoption. So now it's sort of like, if we're getting this coming up on a DNA thing, then maybe there is some truth to the rumor that this was a in-family adoption. So we're going to be exploring that avenue a little more as well. So I'm only just getting started on the DNA stuff, and had the test done like 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, I think Brad was still alive when I did the test. No, he wasn't. He'd already passed. So it was only like 2 or 3 years ago that I did the test. But it's been interesting watching the results as technology changes, as they get more test samples in with the matches that they're coming up with and that sort of stuff. But you got to watch them because it put my aunt as my first cousin or closer, and then it put my first cousin once removed was listed as my second cousin. So they're fairly close as to what the relationship is with that person. But it's kind of interesting to see where they slot people. And the guy that was my seventh cousin, they had him, I think it goes like within 5 to 9, I think is the level. So he was somewhere in there, which was fine because that's exactly where he fitted. But I have some people in there that I know are my second cousins, and it's got them listed as third cousins. So it's interesting to see some of my New Zealand relatives are starting to pop up on the ancestry DNA matches and all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, that's it from us for today. Hope you've had a super fantastic sparkling tune-up Tuesday, that you have had an incredible day. What tunes did you listen to? What tweaks did you make in your life to help improve your life, to make it better, to maybe get out of a situation, to maybe start along those dreams? Just that one little tweak, that one little step that you did. Let us know in the comments below. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening. And tomorrow, one of my favorite days of the week. I have 7 favorite days of the week. So tomorrow's favorite day is Winning Wednesday, when we get to celebrate your wins for the week and get you set up for another winning week. So have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Hakonara.